Welcome to Big Chats with Ricky West for the second episode ever. Today we have a very, very special guest yet again. Standing at 5'9", weighing in at 185, we have Andrew Lashaw.
Good to be here, folks. Good to be here.
Yes, sir. Thank you for coming in today, Big Lish. Big Lish.
Of course.
We call him. So, today we are going to do another sports segment, folks. It's going to be very entertaining today. We have the Dolphins versus Broncos. We're going to do some negatives, some positives of the week, some disappointments of the year, some positives of the year. We are just going to dive right on in. So, without further ado, we're going to bring up the 70-point, 726-yard outing Miami Dolphins, led by their MVP favorite, Tua Tagovailoa, who went 23 of 36, 309 yards and 4 TDs with a 155.8 QBR through 3 quarters. He got pulled 5 seconds into the fourth quarter because they scored another touchdown to make the score who knows what at the time. The Miami Dolphins as a absolute whole look like an absolute force to be reckoned with. They have the best offense in the league right now. Nobody can argue it. Nobody can say otherwise. They just put up the best offensive outing of my entire life,
Probably
his
ever.
entire life. What might end up being the best outing that we ever see in our lives. So it was a very cool, very unique experience this weekend to watch a team actually put up 70 points in the NFL. You don't see games like that unless it's Bama versus Bethune-Cookman in college. So
That's what it was. And honestly, for the Dolphins, there's just one phrase to describe that game, and it was a statement game. They've been Tua. There's been skepticism about Tua, his concussions. His first 2 years, he wasn't great. Last year, there was a lot of, it's all Tyreek. Even I could throw to him. He's wide open. And some of that was true. He was throwing to wide open receivers last year. He had the terrible December where he went 0-4. And this year he came out through the first 3 games, just lights out, unreal. Like, he has been making big-time throws. He's been making big-time plays in moments. He's been hitting tight windows. He's been throwing with anticipation. He's just been amazing. And then this game for the Dolphins as a whole is just a full statement to the league, like, hey, we are legit. We just scored 70 fucking points in a football game.
yeah,
Like, that is what I do in Madden. It is a Madden game.
17 of 17 for the game.
Madden. I can't even do that in Madden.
Was just superb. And I mean, we can't stop talking there because the Miami Dolphins did put up 70 points, so obviously the stat line was ridiculous. Again, 726 yards.
Who's next? What stat line is next?
We have Raheem the Dream up next, folks. Raheem the Dream Mostert. Remember the name. 13 carries, 82 yards, 3 touchdowns, 7 receptions for 60 yards, and another touchdown. 4 total TDs for Raheem the Dream.
Unreal. Who's up next? We got
Unbelievable.
A-Chain, of course.
Unbelievable. I mean, I'm still going to touch on Raheem Mostert here. He had over 40 fantasy points this week. Just an absolute stud monster in the lineup. Yes, I did start him. Yes, I do know that he was going against you in your league. So it was kind of funny to watch just Mostert score time after time. It was 2 plays in a row that he scored 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, we were watching together, and I'm watching this man just not even dismantle my team. My team's going off. I had 160 points in this loss, and Raheem Mostert, of all people, just keeps scoring and scoring and catching and scoring and running, and it just never stopped. And it got to the point, I think it was like 56 to 10 or something like that. And I'm like, Eric, like, they got to take him out at this point. And Eric's like, yeah, he's calming down. A-Chain's getting some touches. Next play, Raheem touchdown.
Folks, it's time to ride the A-Chain. Choo-choo! Choo-choo! Let's give this man a round of applause.
Props. Basically his first NFL game, too.
Correct. Over 200 yards on the ground, 203 to be exact on 18 carries, 2 rushing touchdowns, 4 catches, 30 yards, another 2 touchdowns. I absolutely love the play. Both of his receiving touchdowns came on the little Tua acting like he's throwing outside and just said, whoop! Just slid it right into the A-Chain. Yes, as you can see, I am a Dolphin fan. So it is definitely an exciting time of the year for me. The Dolphins never are good, so
they haven't won a playoff game since he's been alive, or since he's been able to comprehend what football
correct,
is.
Correct. Last Dolphin playoff win, year 2000. Pretty crazy. But the A-Chain made a statement.
You look at Puka Nacua, who had probably the most electric start to a career possible, and then A-Chain comes in and just takes the hype.
Correct. A-Chain was out week 1, got minimal touches week 2. This week, Savon Ahmed was injured, so it gave the A-Chain a little more extra touch value this week, which he absolutely made the most of. Jeff Wilson, I could honestly see getting traded at this point because the Dolphins simply don't need him. Do I think he's good? Do I think he's a good addition to the roster? Yes. But the Finns simply don't need him right now. And you know what? Even, like, anybody can hop in this Finns backfield and put in work.
Run.
Their O-line is absolutely eating right now. They're ridiculous.
And the defenses just respect the pass so much. You can watch the Broncos play.
Correct.
Like if you go back and watch some of the big runs they had, they have to play zone defense because of Tyreek Hill. They have no choice.
Correct. You don't man up against the Dolphin team.
No one in NFL history can man up against Tyreek. Some of the best corners ever can stuff him a few times, but the speed is just too much.
Dude, and I mean Waddle was out yesterday, but like when Waddle is in,
it's both of them.
Yeah. Like,
honestly,
you just cannot play man D against this roster.
And honestly, that's a shout out to Mike McDaniel. Obviously,
Correct.
He's not in the box score. He's not on the stat sheet, but he, in large part, is an architect of this team. And what he did, basically, obviously, they got Tyreek last year. They already had Waddle.
Dude, and that was all McDaniel, though. He made the heavy push. A lot of people were like, the Miami Dolphins are crazy for paying Tyreek Hill all this money, yada, yada, yada. I thought they were crazy. I'm a diehard Dolphin fan. Ended up being a win-win trade for the Chiefs and the Dolphins, you know?
It was tough at the time because Tua was very, very much a question mark. But honestly, McDaniel, essentially what he did, like it's clear in retrospect, is that he saw what the Chiefs did with Tyreek. And what they did with Tyreek was have this insanely fast, small, like shifty, basically a positionless player playing receiver, and saw what they could do with him. Obviously, they got Tyreek. They had Waddle, and Mike McDaniel was like, how do I get more of that? Well, you can't get more Tyreek. You can't get more Waddle. There's only a few. If there isn't even more than one of those around. But he saw that these small, like 5'11", 5'10" sub players that are just fast as fuck and can shift and can move, they create space. They create space so easily. And he saw that Tua, his main ability, his like number one strength is throwing with anticipation. Like that timing is unreal. He is very rarely late for a throw. He's throwing balls before receivers are open and having those small receivers that are creating space. It's just a perfect fit for each other, and it all came to fruition in this 70-point massacre of
Yeah,
this non-NFL team. the
yeah,
Broncos.
and you know it's very sad. Brian Flores. I hope that guy never gets another head coaching job again in the NFL. I did used to think that he was great for the Dolphins.
I did too.
But he gave up on Tua, and to see a coach give up on a quarterback who,
He was winning.
is a winner, one, and two, a guy who's putting up crazy, crazy numbers, a guy who can possibly win MVP.
Now he looks like an absolute moron.
Yeah, Flores
He
really does look like an idiot and showed that he does not have the ability to get the most out of his players.
Do you know who
Which
does?
is what you need in a coach.
Mike McDaniel does.
Correct. Mike McDaniel's great. Tyreek Hill, 9 receptions, 157 yards and a touchdown.
Tyreek and that stat line being the last thing we talk about just shows how much of a dominant performance this was.
It's crazy.
Like, we just spoke for 11 minutes about the Miami Dolphins, and we're probably not even done. We'll move on
Yeah.
to the other end of the field.
Exactly.
But that just goes to show how well things are going for them.
Exactly.
And the other end of the field is the Denver Broncos. And I'll let Eric talk about them for a second, but I just have one word to describe that franchise at the moment and for the next 5 years, and that word is fucked. They are so beyond fucked that, like, I don't see a good way out for them. Like, they have Russ locked in. They have him for, I don't know how many years. I don't know the contract details. All I know is that it's a lot for a long time for absolute garbage. Sean Payton looks like he wasn't the right hire. He just let 70 points get scored on his team. And yes, they were outmatched, whatever. You're an NFL coach, like, you do. It doesn't happen. There's a reason only a few teams have scored 70 points. And that's an indictment on Sean Payton. Nothing's going well for the Broncos outside of Pat Surtain, and he just got torched too. So that's it.
Wow.
Fucked.
The Broncos are equivalent to how good that drink tastes. Terrible. All right,
Just
folks.
a fuck team.
So I'm going to get into a little side chat topic right here about the Denver Broncos and a friend of ours, Max Ziffer. So we're in a group chat, and Max Ziffer is a very overreactive sports fan. So he just started doing a born winner and born loser of the week for the NFL. And this week the born loser was not handed out to an individual player. It was handed out to the Denver Broncos. And this is what he said.
Not just the team, the franchise.
It's absolutely hilarious. Kids, 10 out of 10 funny. Okay, born loser, the Denver Broncos. I want to give this to Wilson badly, but to be honest, he isn't even the worst part of this train wreck of an organization. After a horrendous and disheartening first year with Wilson, they follow it up with an 0-3 start, which includes being outscored 32-3 in the second half against Sam Howell, and giving up 70 points to Miami. Today may have been the worst outing in NFL history, with defenders simply not trying. The play calling is weak. Russell Wilson had the talent sucked out of his cock by the little aliens of Space Jam. And that's just scratching the surface. The fact that Vance Joseph still has a job is disgusting. They should make a documentary on this scenario and the obscene amount of money wasted on a loser in Russell Wilson, who simply doesn't care anymore. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Loser of the week, Denver Broncos. 3 for 12 on third down.
That's incredible.
God awful.
That is so bad. And it's not like the Dolphins have an elite defense. They're
Literally.
good. but the Broncos just suck.
They had half the amount of yards that the Dolphins had.
To the T, exactly half.
Literally.
The Dolphins had double the yardage.
On only 12 less plays, and the Broncos had 3 turnovers. Sutton, 2 fumbles. Russ, a pick.
You hate to see it with Sutton. He was just bouncing back. He had a solid first 2 weeks. I know he had the injury, and it's just things like that.
He had a good game this week. Aside from the 2 fumbles, he was looking good, but the Broncos just didn't look good. They scored 13 points in meaningful time. The only 7 points that they scored other than the 13 was on a kickoff return. And yeah, there's really nothing good to say about that team or that roster or their coaching staff. The fact that Sean Payton was talking shit in the beginning of the season is utterly, utterly saddening. I don't think Sean Payton should open his mouth for the next 2 weeks at least until we see
they win it.
Hopefully, one game won by the Denver Broncos.
They'll probably win next week because they play the Bears.
Yeah, the term "let Russ cook" was out the window last year.
Yeah,
but now it officially hit the ground and just splattered everywhere.
There's no cooking.
See you, Russ.
No.
All right, folks. We're going to move on to the negatives of week 3. And we have a Chicago Bears fan right here, so I'm going to let him take this one away.
It's only right we started with the Dolphins. That's his favorite team. Probably, definitely the biggest positive of the week and year. But we'll focus on the week for the Bears for now. Huge Bears fan. Came out this week. Obviously, first 2 games, very, very underwhelming. Fields was awful. The offense was awful. All of the offseason hype died very quickly in that Packers game and turned into panic. But third game, always a huge game in the season, especially when you start 0-2.
Always for the Bears.
You guys haven't won a playoff game in 23 years. Shut the fuck up.
Always a big game.
When you're 0-2, you got to win that third game because 0-3 teams have a 2% chance of making the playoffs, which basically means fucking 0. They come in, obviously weren't expected to win. They were playing the Chiefs on the road. It's a tough game. But
sorry. I do just want to say we are looking up. We do have the Braves versus Cubs on right now. I don't really like baseball that much, but I mean,
this
there's
has
nothing else
playoff
on right now.
So forgive me if I'm looking up. But back to a much worse Chicago team than the Cubs. They were at least supposed to come out and put out a fight, but really it was just a culmination of everything that has gone wrong for the Bears this season. Their O-line was bad. It was fine the first 2 games. It was bad game 3. Justin Fields was horrible. He was standing in the pocket. He was missing open players. Just typical Justin Fields things. He was not good. DJ Moore dropped a huge pass that at the time was somewhat important. It's just bad all around. And they lead off the negatives.
When was there an important time in that game? Because it slipped away real quick.
It was important on our first drive.
Okay. That is important.
After that.
And that is your best receiver dropping important balls.
This was the first Chicago Bears game in 3 years since our last year with Trubisky that I didn't watch it from beginning to end. It was that bad. I'm done.
Yeah, Justin Fields had you guys fooled last year for a while because of his legs. He had a great span of rushing that football, and it was unbelievable.
He did.
He was like a league leader in rushing last year.
I'm pushing back on that a little bit. Yes, he fooled us with his legs, because if there were no legs, we wouldn't be thinking that way. But he was kind of okay a little bit as a passer in terms of efficiency. Never put up the yardage. I think he had 1 200-yard game last year. There was a reason to look forward to this season, especially with getting DJ Moore, everything. Nope. Turns out he sucks. He's really bad.
Yeah.
That's about all I can say about the Chicago Bears. Tank for Caleb.
Okay.
Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison Jr. coming soon. 2024 Chicago Bears.
Okay.
Will be back.
Okay. I like it. I like it.
And
Chicago Bears do suck. Justin Fields, 11 for 22. That's insanely bad within itself. And then it even gets worse. He went for 99 yards. The guy didn't even throw 100 yards yesterday.
He woke up and chose to be Zach Wilson for the day.
1 touchdown. Good for him. And a pick, per usual.
Garbage time touchdown.
Yeah. Bears lost 41-10. Chiefs looked great. We'll get into the Chiefs later because obviously the big topic
they're in the positives
that all the ladies want to hear about, Taylor Swift. We know, we get it, and yes,
it's coming.
I am going to her concert in Miami in, I want to say October of next year. Yeah, next year.
Impressive.
I know. My cousin, Ari, shout out, got the tickets. He won like the raffle thing for the email, and he was actually the only person that I even know. I didn't even know that he got it. Hyatt actually found out through Ari's girlfriend.
Impressive.
And it was for Miami, so they're like, hey, do you want to go? And we're like, yeah. So, done deal. Shout out Ari. Love you. We're going to move into the New York Giants. Dismantled once again. They got absolutely handled, absolutely bodied by another good team in the league. Giants have proven yet again that they cannot come to play in big moments against big teams. They started their season off losing 60-0. They allowed 60 points to get on the board before they scored 1. What does that tell you? What does that tell you?
Yeah. And the worst part about it is yes, teams come out flat all the time. It happens. Look at the Bengals, the Chiefs, whatever.
Correct. This still is only week 3.
As flat as possible. As flat as a fucking floor.
Correct. Week 6 is when it starts to get scary.
And it looked like the second half of that Cardinals game, it looked like things really finally clicked for him.
Correct.
I know Saquon got hurt
Like
last time
Dimes was worth the contract, but absolutely not.
He balled. He balled that second half. It looked like, okay, we came out slow, but we don't actually suck.
Mm-hmm.
Then they played the Niners. And I know people are going to say, like, hey, it's the Niners. They hung in there for a little. The score did not reflect. Well, at the end it did. But throughout the game, it did not reflect. Wow.
Oh, he out.
Yeah,
out of the baseline.
It did not reflect how poorly they played. And yes, they're missing Saquon, but they have Brian Dable, who last year looked like an elite play caller, an elite offensive mind. And this year he has not shown us that. It looks like a lot like Matt Nagy from 2018 to 2019. It looked like I'm not saying it is.
Dude.
I'm still a fan of Dable, but right now I'm catching big Matt Nagy, Brian Dable vibes. And guess what? They're both bald.
Dude, Derwachter, this kid Eric Derwachter. Sorry, I didn't realize I wasn't by the mic. Yikes. Okay, so Eric Derwachter, we call him Booby because the guy looks like a boob. Kid's a diehard Bears fan.
How do you look like a boob?
Absolutely hated Matt Nagy.
We all did.
Yeah, I'll pull up a photo of him just to show you that he does look like a boob. But we'll move on to another terrible team.
This
the
is
New York Jets.
This is going to be
bad.
They're honestly my favorite thing to talk about in football because, I guess you might be able to say the same for my team, but even more so with the Jets, you just know it's not going to work out for them. Like, whoever they get, they got fucking Aaron Rodgers paired with an elite defense, Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, and 11 seconds into the season. 10 minutes of real Earth human. Wow, he looks
Booby.
like a titty.
Go follow him, folks.
That's a boob. 11 seconds.
Good kid.
11 seconds of game time, 10 minutes of real human Earth time. This man tears his Achilles. I'm a Bears fan, so I hate Aaron Rodgers. Even I didn't love seeing that. I wasn't upset, don't get me wrong. But it's just, that would only happen to the Jets. And then they come out against the Patriots, who have won, at the time, 14 consecutive games, 7 years since they won a football game against this team. And they come out and they shit the bed again. It was a 15-10 game. It was ugly. It was in the rain, but regardless, we're going to talk about some of these stats from the game, and they're hilarious.
Yeah, Zach Wilson, 50% from the field, 18 for 36. The Jets, close to the end of the first half, had -1 offensive yards.
We were watching this game together on Red Zone, and we heard Scott Hansen say a stat about the New York Jets and Zach Wilson, and we looked at each other and just started dying laughing
before he even said it.
We knew it was going to be something horrendous, and it was.
My God!
I think there was a couple minutes left in the first half, or maybe it was even halftime. They had -1 yards. They had 30 full minutes of football and moved the ball backwards 1 yard. I'm sorry, that is difficult to do. Yes. Clap it up for the New York Jets, because that's the only franchise that could do something like that.
Zach Wilson, man, you know what? I'm going to show some positivity for you, brother, because you need it. All right, that's all you get. Zach Wilson needs to be thrown in a hole and locked in a dungeon where all he could hear is himself yell, "Help! Help! Help me!" Why? Because that's where he belongs. He needs help. And all he needs to hear is himself say help.
And
guy's trash.
Two things I want to say about Zach Wilson. One, there was one play in that Patriots game. You can find it on Twitter, but one play in that Patriots game that just is a culmination of this man's entire NFL career. There was, I forgot when it was. All I saw was the actual play. He sacked himself. And when I say that, it wasn't like he saw pressure coming and he slid down or something like that. No. He had a clean pocket. Yes, it was collapsing. He didn't have a ton of time to throw. But this man looked around, saw a pass rusher coming in from one side, looked to the other, saw another one coming in, and they hadn't beat the blockers at that point. It's not like they were just sprinting at him. They were still being blocked, and he kind of tripped on himself and lost his footing and just fell to the ground. And I'm sorry, New York Jets fans, that this is who you have to watch for 14 weeks.
You know what? It couldn't be the worst play of the week, though, because Deshaun Watson threw the ball. He threw it behind him.
No,
he threw it backwards.
Not threw it backwards on a screen and missed him.
Dude.
He was getting twirled around and sacked.
Oh, my God.
Pegged the ball 10, 15 yards backwards. I don't know how it wasn't considered.
I'm gonna pull that video up just in case anybody didn't see.
Yeah. While you pull that up, I do want to let the people know that if you need a phone upgrade, an iPad, maybe connect your Apple Watch to cellular or something like that, you will be seeing Zach Wilson and Justin Fields being the most elite assistant-manager duo at T-Mobile that you've ever seen. They will upgrade you, whatever you need. They'll up you to a 5G Go plan. Anything you need, you got it from those two. T-minus end of the season, they will be working at T-Mobile.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring it into another disappointing team this year. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Starting 1-2.
It's tough.
they didn't score a touchdown last week against the Chiefs, and they were terrible this week against one of the worst teams in the league, the Houston Texans. Shout out CJ Stroud. We'll get into the Texans offense later. We like them. They're on the positive takes. And I do have the Deshaun Watson play here for you guys.
It's unreal.
This guy's so bad.
You see him running around back there?
Wait. I missed it for him.
Here it is, folks.
He threw it. He threw the ball backwards. The guy was getting tackled and threw the ball backwards.
That's like something you see when you play backyard football growing up, and the dad of the worst kid out there is out there with you on the field. So, like, you kind of feel like you have to let him play quarterback. That's the kind of play that happens in that situation.
Correct.
Deshaun Watson just did that on an NFL football field while being paid $250 million.
Correct. It's pretty upsetting seeing the Jags offense being bad because Trevor Lawrence ended the season very
note.
strongly last year. Christian Kirk was a high note, and they also added Calvin Ridley, who, in my eyes, is a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. The guy is unbelievable. The numbers that he was putting up before he got suspended was top 10. So he is lethal. He is fire.
He is fire.
Jags figure it out. We'll move on to the disappointing 0-3
Minnesota Vikings.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's been a rough go. I will say that I, amongst other people, said that they were going to regress from last year. I pegged them as a sub-500 football team. But sub-500, I, who really thought they were over it last year, was thinking 8-9, 7-10, something like that. But so far, it's just been a disappointment all around outside of Justin Jefferson. Kirk has done well statistically. He's been moving the ball.
Kirk's been good as well.
Yeah, they've been scoring, but that defense is horrible. Kirk's turnovers have been tough. They're not playing winning football. Kevin McConnell's got to be close to the hot seat, and it's getting to the point where they're only 0-3. We got a few weeks, but it's getting to the point where they might trade Kirk Cousins to the Jets or some other team that needs him and tank, because an 0-3 start, like, they're fucked.
Cousins ain't going anywhere because he's one of the two highlights of that roster.
I hope he doesn't.
He's probably averaging over 300 a game.
As a Bears fan, I hope they sign him to a 10-year deal because that man is the definition of a born loser.
What?
He's just born to lose football games.
All right. You make no sense.
They lost to the Giants in the playoffs. Come on. Have you seen what the Giants did this year?
Dude.
Born loser.
Kirk Cousins.
He can't even play in primetime football.
Him. Kirk Cousins is him.
If all games were played at 1 p.m. Eastern time, he would be him. But they're not. So he sucks.
Well, I mean, the guy's probably averaging around 3 touchdowns a game. Over 300 yards right now. Kirk Cousins is looking good.
He's balling a little bit.
Is looking good. A disappointing team of the week has to be the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, yeah.
They did not perform well against one of the worst rosters in all of football, led by Joshua Dobbs.
It's tough for Dallas.
How you doing, Dobbs?
It's tough for Dallas.
I'll have it, Dave.
Mostly because it's just something that typically happens to that team is that they look good for the first few weeks of the season. There's that meme circulating online of the Dallas Cowboys cycle. I'm sure you've seen it. They look really good, and then it comes down to these super close games, sometimes against bad teams or subpar teams like the Cardinals. And they lose. Dak looks terrible.
Time and time again, Dak Prescott does not close. He constantly loses the close games. And I think Dallas fans are blinded by Dak's good ability to throw the football. They're all like, oh, Dak this, Dak that. Bro, Buddy led the league in interceptions last year, and he missed like 4 games.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous.
And you see
How do
it
you
like
lead the league in interceptions and miss all those football games?
he does close from time to time, but you look at him against the Niners the past 2 years. You look at him. I forgot who they played, but in the playoffs the year before he got hurt really badly, it's just he's one of those players that you look at him and you know he's not a closer. You know he's not going to win you that football game. He's not going to put you on his shoulders and win that game. He's
Correct.
great when the offense is rolling, the run game's rolling, the defense is rolling. He can perform. He'll put up the stats, and he genuinely looks really good. But when it comes down to him winning that football game, it is rare that actually happens. He's kind of like Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, Dak Prescott, not him. We all know it. We all knew it. It's okay.
Dallas Cowboys fans, you can admit it. He's not going to be the guy that brings you to your first NFC title game in 33 years.
All right, so we're going to move into a more positive topic now. We're going to touch up on Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills defense has been absolutely stellar this week. They put up 5 turnovers and 9 sacks.
That's ridiculous.
Is unheard of.
And
5 turnovers is unheard of. 9 sacks is unheard of. That's like almost equivalent to the Miami Dolphins putting up 70 points this week.
It's the inverse. It
really is.
Sam Howell and the Commanders. It's still an NFL football team, and to put on a defensive show like that is pretty close to what the Dolphins did on offense that day. It's
crazy.
Just utter dominance, and it's good to see Buffalo do it. They were shaky the second half of last year. They had that pretty embarrassing close win against the Dolphins and Skylar Meatball Thompson in the playoffs last year. And there were some questions. That first game against the Jets was rough. Josh Allen did not play great. He had his turnovers. They fucking lost to Zach Wilson. But the past 2 weeks, the combo of Josh Allen and that defense, they look like the good old Bills again. And it's good to see. Not good for him, but it's good to see overall.
Correct. Josh Allen looking good. The deep ball is gone. I don't know where it went.
It's gone missing.
It literally has gone missing. Same with Joe Burrow. The deep ball's gone missing.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. It's with Justin Fields' legs. They're just gone somewhere.
Yeah.
No idea where they went.
Yeah, they're in the hole. Oh my. We can't see anyone. We need help.
They're gone. And last year with Allen, yes, he had the torn ligament in his elbow. It's tough to like last year that was a bona fide excuse. He's throwing with a fucking torn ligament in his elbow. But this year it hasn't seemed to get better, and it's a cause for concern. It's like his deep balls, you'll see like he'll be maneuvering around the pocket, he'll create some time for himself, and then he'll just chuck it up deep like it's Madden. You don't know who to throw to, so you look and see the button for the furthest receiver.
Buddy just throws the ball far, and it ends up nowhere near his receiver.
Yeah, it's an issue.
The safety gets it every time.
But overall, that team has been playing well the past.
Because the corner doesn't even have the opportunity to get it. Mm-hmm. It's just nowhere near them.
It's gone, and it seems like defenses are picking up on it because he has such a big arm that those safeties end up, like once they see that it's a deep route developing, they'll play far back and try and jump on it because it has so much hang time and it just goes so far. Like this man can throw a football 65 yards.
Correct.
Easy.
Yeah, Allen's arm is unbelievable. Stephon Diggs, 8 receptions this week, 111 yards. Diggs has been very consistent all 3 games this year. Very good. Been a game changer for Allen. One of the best duos in all of the NFL.
Oh, one more thing about the Bills.
Yeah.
Zach Moss. Wait, no.
No,
sorry.
No.
He's good too. James Cook. Cook. They have needed that run game weapon for so
Zach
long.
Moss has been good.
He has, just for not the Bills anymore.
Absolutely. Shout out Zach Moss.
Shout out Zach Moss. You're doing. If you're watching this, keep it up, man.
Correct. Correct. You're making JT regret his decision.
Sweating. He's sweating. Yeah. James Cook. It's something they needed. Josh Allen is always an inconsistent guy. Just his play style. He's a gunslinger. He's gonna have his games where he's off. It happens to the best of them if you're not named Patrick Mahomes. And they haven't had a weapon outside of him and Diggs and a little bit of Gabe Davis and Dawson Knox in a long time, if ever, since Josh Allen got there. And having a run game that they can lean on is going to be huge for them when they're playing these elite teams, when they're playing in the playoffs, because for 3-4 years now, teams just haven't had to respect the run. They had Devin Trash Singletary not doing anything. They had, who was there? Oh, Zach Moss, who sucked on that team for some reason and is doing great now. But it looks like they have someone in James Cook, and that could be a huge positive for them down the stretch.
Correct. I do like James Cook. He's been getting a lot of touches, big for fantasy this year. Low grade pick in fantasy, turning out to be good.
He's much better than his older brother. Dalvin fucking sucks now.
Correct. Shout out Puka. Guy's very good for fantasy. Awesome.
Puka Nakua.
Awesome to see. Good turnaround week for the Philadelphia Eagles this week. They dismantled the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Back to reality for Baker Mayfield.
Magic.
It was good seeing Baker bake for a little. We saw some flashes of 2020
Dude, Baker Bucks.
It's over now.
Yeah,
we knew it was coming and it hit us.
Yeah, no, Baker's clearly not him. We've known it. He's on his 11th team in 5 years. Sad to see.
Yeah, he's back.
But back to the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts had a great game. O-line 8. Swift, a great game. Another game over 100 yards on the ground. A.J. Brown finally had his first big week.
Huge week from AJ. It's good
Correct.
to see because it was the big time the Devontae show weeks 1 and 2.
Correct.
I mean, we knew it was coming. AJ's as elite as
especially after he ate up Hurts on the sideline.
Yeah.
Last week, you knew it was coming. You know.
Yeah. That's good to see. DeAndre Swift looks like he found his perfect team because he's had issues in the past. Really just running the ball sideways and having terrible vision. Like, obviously, he's a freak athlete. He's always had these big plays. But past 2 weeks, it looks like he's found some consistency in the run game. And
Correct.
He looks like he's going to be their RB1 moving forward. R.I.P. Kenneth Gainwell. Guy got injured for a week and lost his job. Tough to see. Tough to see, Kenny. But Swift looked great. The Eagles look great. That defense looks elite. Jalen Carter fitting in on that line real nice. They got rid of Javon Hargrave and stumbled. Perfect destination for Jalen Carter. Obviously, he had his off-field issues. He came into a team that's just ready to win. They're built. They have a fire D-line, fire defense overall, and he's eating.
Dude, the Eagles running back core is like very deep. They also have Penny.
Oh yeah,
they have Penny.
They have Penny. He's not even seeing the field.
Yeah, I know. So like, I mean, that's another guy. Like, if and when running back gets injured, usually does happen, unfortunately. Like, Penny is is there as well.
The Eagles finally, for the first time this year, looked like the Eagles of last year, and that they're going to be a threat. Will Jalen Hurts break the curse of losing your first Super Bowl? We shall see.
Dude, Hurts and Burrow.
Hurts and Burrow.
Class. Wow. Sheesh.
Yeah. And
we're gonna move into the final. Well, I'm sorry, not the final topic, but this is a big one. This is a big one,
positive.
Folks. Big one. The Kansas City Chiefs. They finally turned it around this week. Their first 2 weeks were very shaky. The offense did not look normal. Obviously, we knew at some point the Kansas City Chiefs would turn it around and start looking dominant again. I cannot wait for the Chiefs versus Dolphins in Germany.
That's going to be nuts.
I cannot wait.
This game was a massive, beautifully wrapped Christmas present on Christmas Day for the Chiefs on their calendar, on their schedule. They looked shaky versus the Lions. They didn't look bad, but that offense just wasn't clicking. A lot of drops.
Correct.
Kadarius Toney, worst performance of all
Oh my
time.
God.
Week 2, they couldn't get it moved. They won, but their offense did not look good versus the Jags. Then week 3, guess what they get? The Chicago fucking Bears at home.
Dude.
They have Taylor Swift in the house. She's with Travis Kelce, confirmed.
The Swiftie fans are elite. Taylor Swift took over. Taylor Swift absolutely took over ESPN.
Oh yeah.
Taylor Swift took over that game. She was showed more than the players.
She took over the broadcast, and it
Oh
looked
my
like everything
gosh.
lined up. They got a shitty team to come play them, and they had their way. The run game was working. Mahomes was killing it. Travis Kelce had a good game. Mahomes spread the ball around. It felt like everybody got touches and everybody did well. Fuck, even Clyde had a touchdown. Like it's the confidence boost that they needed. Edwards-Helaire had a touchdown, which is very rare, but
correct.
They needed this bounce back game, and they looked like the Chiefs that we've seen for the past 5 years. And they came back into that crazy AFC conversation with the Dolphins, amongst other teams, the Dolphins,
correct,
the Bills, etc.
Correct. I mean, they really never left because, like I said, you knew at some point they were going to turn it around.
No.
Even though they won last week, it was an ugly win, very ugly.
But they're back and they needed it.
Correct.
I actually have.
Correct. They absolutely dominated this week.
I have one more off-script positive of the week, of the year so far. It's Justin Herbert and the San Diego Chargers. Mostly Herbert. The Brandon Staley, this is a call for you to resign, or for the Chargers organization to fire you. But what's his name? Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore, being their offensive coordinator, was the turnaround that Justin Herbert needed. They had last year it just wasn't working out. They were trying this short game. It wasn't fit for Herbert. But seeing him back really on top, like he's been playing amazing all year. Their defense is still horrible, but shout out to Justin Herbert. It really looks like he's back. Keenan's balling.
Keenan is going berserk.
I was down on Keenan this year because last year injuries, weird Chargers.
Yeah, you shit on me for taking Keenan in fantasy.
He's balling. I shit on multiple people, and I take it back. Keenan is him again. Dude. I'm happy to see it. I've always loved him.
Well, you know what? Also, these receivers for the Chargers, and especially with Keenan being Herbert's favorite target, Herbert throws the ball almost 50 times a game. So, obviously, Keenan is going to get his numbers, you know?
Yeah.
If you're passing the ball 50 times a game and you are the number one target on that team, you're going to get your numbers. Mm-hmm. So Keenan's consistent, he's been consistent, and he's going to be consistent throughout the entirety of this NFL season.
That's his thing, consistency. And they haven't had Eckler. That offense, Herbert, overall, it looks like they're back to normal.
Dude, Eckler had team on the back week 1 against the Finns.
Oh, yeah. He was
the sole reason why they stayed in that game.
They need him back, and really they need to figure out the defense. I saw a stat the other day. Forgive me if I'm a little off. I think it was 20 or 25, something like that. Herbert is 25 or 26 and 5 in his career when his defense allows less than 28 points. 28 points is a lot.
28 is the number.
Like, if they get lower than 28 points, he's one of the winningest quarterbacks of all time. So they just need to get that defense, who's star-studded, to just play average. Even a little below average.
Derwin James is a dirty, dirty player.
He is.
I don't like Derwin.
I like Derwin, but he is dirty.
All right, folks, we're going to round this out here. C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans. Tank Dell, C.J. Stroud.
Tank. First of all,
been a great young team to watch.
Big time.
People hate on them because the Texans are bad, but they have a bright future,
Yes.
clearly.
Yes, they have a bright future. C.J. Stroud is looking really good so far. He's the third quarterback joining Cam Newton, Justin Herbert to throw for 900 yards in their first 3 career games. He's looked really good. He's been throwing with anticipation. He hasn't been making mistakes. He hasn't thrown a pick yet. It's 3 games in. He plays for the Texans. He hasn't thrown a pick yet. He's just looked the part so far, and it's not like he came into a great situation. They have an okay line. They have a brand new head coach. They don't have like big name weapons. He's thrown a Nico Collins and Tank Dell, who was a 3rd, 4th rounder, and he's just looked really good. And also Tank Dell, if you happen to be watching this, how are you 5'8", 165, and you nicknamed yourself Tank? Please comment on the video and let me know. He's a dog. He's a dog. Got him on all my fantasy
because
teams.
he's
You're my boy.
running up a check in the NFL, and he's gonna get paid.
He's looking good.
Tank Dell.
CJ asked the Texans to draft him.
Correct.
Day 3
Correct. Because they knew.
Yeah.
He knew. Sorry.
He knew Tank's that
Bro,
boy.
unbelievable. But on that note, folks, we're gonna round it out. Thank you so much for tuning in. Episode number 2, Lash Off. Thank you for coming out.
I'll be back soon. Pleasure being here.